Hey guys, I'm here with Craig with the Louver Shop.
Hey guys.
And we are taking a look at the windows for my one room challenge room. So we are going to be putting shutters up, and we're going to talk through some of the options for what we can do for the windows. And then Craig's going to tell us a little bit about Louver Shop and how long they've been in business. They've been in business since 1972.
Right, since 1972, always made our shutters in the United States.
And they come in several different options. There's polymer, wood.
I have a hybrid that we can, it's a slim product, so on small windows, tight windows, we can get in there a little bit tighter.
So what we're talking about right now is what to do with my windows up here. So one of the things that Craig and I have just kind of talked through briefly, I'm going to flip the camera around so you can kind of see. We've sort of briefly talked through the obstacles of doing an inside mount. My preference would be an inside mount for shutters. Craig is bringing up some, valid points that maybe don't bode well for doing an inside mount. So let's take a look and see kind of what we've got happening with. Okay, so we are looking at some options on his iPad.
Yeah, and we really just want to go through some of the different mounting options. I know that, Susan and I spoke a little bit about here. This is a drywall opening. Typically, drywall openings are imperfect, where we're going to get a larger dimension. A lot of times in the center of the window, it's going to be a little tighter at the top. So when that's the case, and I know she prefers an inside mount, if I try to take this type of shutter with a square frame and put that inside, it's going to have an imperfect edge as it goes from top to bottom. Probably going to get a gap in the middle, and then caulking that can be a little bit of a challenge too to make it look perfect. So a lot of times we're going to recommend a couple different options, either to do an outside mount. I know she's going to do some additional trim on this window, and this would go on the trim, which makes it stick out a little bit, basically square or like a box. Or I showed her this option on my iPad, which essentially the shutter itself comes with the similar trim that you would have around your door frames in your home or your other windows. And essentially what that does is that it takes all of that imperfection out of the window so that we can have nice and even gaps between the frame and the shutter itself.
That's right. So one of the things, guys, when I'm on a job site and I talk to you about construction, no home is ever perfectly plumbed. So anytime you've got drywall with a corner bead, you've got an opening, we have a lot of difficulty most of the time getting doors in. And the reason doors actually fit pretty well is because there's extra room around them. Same thing with windows. Before all of the drywall goes on and the corner bead goes on, these windows are put into the rough opening and they're shimmed in. So when the drywall comes on and the corner bead goes on, you don't end up with a perfect opening. So we've got, all three of these windows that we've got to address. So my preference, like I said, would be to do an inside mount so that we would mount inside. Now, one of the things that Craig mentioned in doing this is because I've got a tilted lower sash on my windows, my window would not open for me to be able to clean the inside of the window or even to get the screen out. So now I'm rethinking what we've just discussed in maybe doing an outside mount. So with the trim detail that comes with the shutter, so that we can actually still access the window to clean and to be able to get the screen out.
Right. So, and the reason why that's important is that, you have different types of windows on the market. It's important for a couple different reasons, because you can have what's called a single hung window. This is a single hung window, meaning that the top panel doesn't move and the bottom panel does. A double hung window, the top panel and the bottom panel are both going to move. On a lot of single hung windows, the only way to get the screen out of the window is by using the tilt to clean features, where you raise it up and pull it in, and then you have to pull the screen out. By doing an inside mount shutter, that's going to block that functionality and not let you take that screen out. That's the first reason. Second reason, it won't allow you to clean the window from the inside, which in my opinion is not as important on a single hung window, because you got to get out here to clean this one anyway. It's really all about the screen.
Yeah. So, one of the benefits of working with Craig and the Louver Shop is, they are professionals. They've been doing this for a really, really long time. They're experts at what they do, and that is why he's here to go over the different options with me. Because as much as we put window coverings in for clients, I don't know everything. So I rely on my vendors to, inform me, and that enables us to make the best decisions for our clients. So one of the things I want to talk about and just kind of explain to you what we're going to do here on these windows. We are going to, I'm going to grab your, So we are going to be doing a single panel. And the reason that I'm doing that is that I don't want to have, there's a divider bar, if you can see the shutters that are next to, there we go, the shutters that are next to the single panel. There's a divider bar in here, and you also see the tilt rods. So what I don't want to have, because of the wall treatment that's being installed, and one of the things I talk a lot about on our jobs is line. So we follow the design principles, and line is one of the design principles. So I want my horizontal lines in the room to be very consistent. So I don't want anything to interfere with my horizontal lines. So when we start looking at the options, this is the option that I'd like to go with. So I'd like to do a single panel shutter with a hidden tilt rod and no divider bar. Craig can show us some different options that are available, because there's a lot of different configurations that you can do, and there's different size louvers, and there's different thicknesses, and the tilt bars can all be different. So let me turn the camera around and we'll look at some of those.
Yeah, so here's an example of the three most popular louver sizes: 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. So the most popular right now is a 3.5, but there are some trends going towards 4.5 right now. The 4.5 is going to leave you, basically a little bit more light, some better view, things like that. And then, when we talk about shutters, because we're looking at different types of shutters on the market, and we do an all polymer, we do an all wood, and we do a hybrid option. So each one of those shutters that we sell has a great lifetime warranty to it. We sell the different shutters for different reasons. As an example, the all polymer shutter is a great shutter. It's more energy efficient than the wood. It's about 30% more energy efficient than a wood shutter of the same type. It is perfect for wet conditions, and it's just overall a great product. We can paint our polymer shutters any Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore color as we can with the wood shutter. And then we have a hybrid shutter, which is a little bit slimmer in terms of the body than the other two shutters. That's a great one if we Susan has a lot of depth to her window here, but sometimes when we go into older homes, there's not as much depth in the windows. So in that case, that slimmer shutter helps us to keep that shutter tucked back into the window a little bit tighter, so the box that the shutter is in does not come out quite as far.
And even in some of the newer homes we work on, we don't really have quite as deep of a reveal, depending on how the architect has designed the window installation.
Or you can have a casement or crank style window that we're trying to deal with, right?
We often put casement windows in, yes.
So that shutter is a great shutter for that type of application. And then we were talking about, Susan's looking at a darker color here on her shutter. So if that's the case, we may go with an all wood shutter, because with a darker paint, the all wood shutter does help to show the true color, and also helps with the paint adhesion. On that type with a darker shutter.
So there's lots of options, guys. And one of the things that I think is really important is that anytime you're starting a project, it's really important to think through all these details. You don't really want to leave it until the last minute. We also are starting this at the very beginning of the one room challenge, so we've got time to fabricate and get the shutters made and get them installed before the end. So you want to make sure you leave enough time. This isn't something that you can just decide to do at the last minute and have them installed next week, because they do need time to, get the measures done, fabricate everything. The great thing about the Louver Shop is that, like Craig said, they can paint or even stain. If it's going to be a wood shutter, paint or stain them any color that you want them to be. So if you've got other wood elements in your room that you want to match, then they can get stained. You'd want to use the wood shutter for that. If you're going to paint, like Craig said, if it's going to be a darker color, you can go ahead and use the wood, because it'll bond and adhere a lot better. If it's going to be a lighter paint color, you could do the polymer or the hybrid option. So lots of options that are available. And I will link the Louver Shop so that you guys can reach out and get the information about them. And if you got any questions, just pop a DM. I'm always happy to answer.